Welcome to Beyond Love and Light podcast, where we bypass the fluff, lift the veil, and explore how to navigate the human experience as a spiritual being. I am Laura Gavander, a transformation coach, psyche, and emotion code facilitator. Join me as we delve into topics relating to human consciousness, alternative healing modalities, quantum physics, and the psychology of spirituality. I bring you insights and information from amazing guests and my own experience and observations. Please remember to subscribe to get notifications. And if you'd like to know more about me and my work, please go to my website, www.lauragavander.com. So let's get on with the podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Beyond Love and Light podcast. I'm so excited for my guests who actually happen to be local. We're just a town away, which doesn't usually happen. Usually it could be the other side of the world. But my guests today are Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. They are internationally known self-help authors. Monte is the author pretty much, and his incredibly talented, artistically talented wife is the kind of more visually creative side of it, if you will. She has exquisite, intricate fabric collages, one-of-a-kind spiritual couture creations, which I'm going to ask her specifically about a little later, and accessory designs which exude her profound intuition and deep connection with archetypical, I hope I said that right, stories and healing energies. So for over 40 years, they've combined their deep love for one another with the work of inner exploration and self-discovery to build the enchanted world of Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. Books, tools, card decks, and oracles that have helped millions answer questions, find the deeper meaning, and follow their spiritual paths. They've made their love for one another, which you'd never know if you saw them together. They've made their love for one another a work of art, and their art the work of their lives, their best-selling titles. Now, we can just do a show alone listing all your titles. The Enchanted Tarot, Instant Tarot, the Zerner Farber Tarot, Karma Cards, the Psychic Circle, the Intuition Oracle, the Creativity Oracle, the Vision Board Oracle. All right, enough with the oracles.
Yeah, really.
The Art of Affirmations, and their newest, Your Cosmic Blueprint. Oh my God, that's quite a resume. So welcome, Amy and Monty.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. It's great to see
This is
you.
fun.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I go to see them if they actually have a local showing or demonstration, and we run into each other at the times. But I'm just so excited to have this time to really get into just the background of how you guys started this whole thing. So I would love to know. Well, okay, let's tell us briefly the story of how you guys initially got together, and then we'll talk about how it morphed into actually you guys collaborating.
You go. We met at the filming of a porno movie in 1974.
Who was in the movie?
I was playing in a band that was in the movie. It was a rooftop party scene. Everybody had their clothes on, and Amy was my girlfriend's girlfriend.
So she said, "Do you want to go be in this party scene?" And so keep in mind, it was 1974 where, we just fell into things like that in New York City all the time. So
all the time.
At this roof, our eyes met. We were kind of free spirits, so we were seeing other people, but right away we were drawn to each other. And my girlfriend who introduced us, years late, we never saw her again until like 20 years later. She popped up at this book fair we were at. I bumped into somebody, and it was Sharon. I said, "Sharon, do you know I ended up marrying Monty?" And she goes, "As long as you're happy." Like she didn't get it at all. Anyhow, I always like to hear how people meet also, because, obviously it was destined and fated for us to meet that way. And it's kind of funny to say that we met in a porno movie.
Oh, it's a great story. And I wouldn't expect anything else, because if it wasn't that, I'm sure Monty would have come up with something really funny.
No, it's pretty true. It's 100% true.
Wow, that's great.
But I was studying astrology at the time.
And I was studying Amy.
And so he was studying comparative religion and other, like Yogananda. We kind of, had the spiritual connection right away, because when he found out about the astrology that I was so excited to be studying, he started studying it.
Yeah.
And vice versa. We were very turned on by what each other was into. And he was a musician, and I became sort of his groupie, helping dress the band and go to all his shows, and he started hanging my shows. But it was all very natural, that the gears fit.
And we've made an impact. One of the things I love about young people now is that's like one of their goals is to make an impact. Mm-hmm. Every one of them wants to make an impact. And that's one of the reasons we like to make the oracles, is it helps you get in touch with yourself, empower yourself so you can make an impact.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to know what was the inspiration for you to the first project you ever did, working
Karma
together?
Card.
And how did that come about? Oh, great, let's do
the
this.
first published project?
The Hamptons is what gave birth to it, because I'd go to parties and I'd know astrology and people would ask me questions, or I'd tell them about their chart and they were like, wow, I wish we could have this much fun when you weren't here. And instead of taking it personally, I just invented a game that broke the planet signs and houses into sentence fragments. And this was before computers. Mm-hmm. And I did it in my head and I sold it. We were blessed. We went to this, they used to have a book fair every year, the ABA, or American Booksellers Association. We went to it in New Orleans. And at the same time that this book packager was interested in Karma Cards, who sold it to Penguin Books, Amy was selling the Enchanted Tarot to Stewart Kaplan from U.S. Games.
It was 1986.
Yeah. So Karma Cards came out in 88, and it's been going strong. The Enchanted Tarot came out in 1991.
But those are our first published projects. But I was always an artist and doing my mixed media fabric collages. And Monte was always, even as a songwriter, writing about how to heal the world.
We are one.
How to heal ourselves.
Oh, that thing.
When they transitioned into book, it was a way to get my art out in the world.
Exactly.
And with the spiritual message that it has, which the art world itself wasn't always open to, at least at that time. It wasn't. The work was too feminine, it was too narrative. It wasn't, it was from a spiritual place, not from an intellectual place, which that's how you use an oracle. You're really attuning to your intuition.
Well, Amy made 78 tapestries for the Enchanted Tarot, 3 by 2 foot. It took 2 years.
That's incredible.
But how sometimes doors open or sometimes they won't open. So publishing, the doors opened
like a flower,
very naturally for us. So we ran through.
It's like go where you're wanted kind of thing.
Right.
Because the music business to me was like a pan without a handle. I just didn't know how to pick it up. And I tried, but I will try again because I'm playing music again. Because I'm having Pluto transit of my son, for those of you who know astrology. So you want to resurrect stuff from the past. But books have just been great. Like your Cosmic Blueprint is sort of the flowering of our astrological knowledge, which has been since we've known each other. That took 5 years. Mm. Well, when we did the Enchanted Tarot, Amy's mother, who we all lived together and worked together, she is just like so amazing. And I was in the film business, right? And in the film business, you can make a decent living. So Amy was able to just work on the tapestries. I was a location scout, location manager, and then a bodyguard in the movie. I can't keep a job, Laura. That's what it comes down to. I have too many. The joke around here is we didn't want to have 9-to-5 jobs, so we ended up with 95 jobs.
I think, Monte counsels people to have that background of so many businesses or business experience. Yeah. For myself as well, being in the fashion business and the publishing business, you understand how things are made, how things work, right. How to deal with pitching a project or selling a project or marketing a project. And I think for a creative person, it's essential that you understand how business works.
We actually made something called the Creativity Oracle because we wanted something that anybody who's a creative could get, and it's Amy's art and 80 cards and a book. Oracles are us here at the Enchanted World.
What's your collaboration process? Like, does
Work flat
one,
out till you fall asleep.
well, no, I'm saying, does one of you have an idea? Like, one of you gets an idea. Let's do a book on this, or let's do another deck. And then obviously you share it with the other. And then is it like, okay, you both like go to your corners and do your thing?
Practically.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's practically that way, but it's such a seamless way of living that
Yeah.
it's all a reflection of the same thing. Working together, you have to respect and understand and intuit, and it's the same as living together and loving together.
and one thing that's we've never self-published anything. We've always worked with big publishers. And so we usually have a deal when we're working on something. So there's deadlines, um, delivery dates.
We like it, the collaborative process. At lunch every day, we sort of have a meeting. Our meetings, though, we're like massaging each other's feet, when we're having a meeting. But I don't like to make
Love
people
that.
sick. But
No, listen, I think we must have created the toxic positivity movement because people just, oh, you guys, whatever. But we're really having a great time, after
we're
51
both
years.
workers.
Yeah.
We both have the same work ethic.
So I'm sure, I mean, so do your charts, I mean, I just have to ask this because I'm sure everyone's wondering, are your charts just like perfectly like,
Eh,
Not
well,
necessarily.
well,
no?
the thing is, if you were like a standard astrologer, you'd look at our charts and say, well, these people shouldn't be married to anybody, let alone married to, because we're both, it's like the army of one. They used to use that as an advertisement for join the army because you're the army. We're both the kind of people that get it done. There are similarities in our chart. One of the interesting things is when you merge the charts together, which you can do with a chart, which is great, they all comes out to the third degree of Pisces, like 3 planets. The good ones come out on there. And we are, we do work that's Piscean.
Independent, very independent thinkers and doers. So, but we respect that in each other.
Well, she's a
I think
genius
if you
artist.
understand somebody's chart, whoever it is, you understand who they are. So it helps you, and they should, make the effort to understand who you are. Because it's like what we were talking before we spoke, how many layers, how deep each of us goes, the complexities, which that's what I try to convey in my art. But, different things in astrology are highlighted at different cycles,
Yes.
like Monte was talking about Pluto transit of his sun. That's like an intense time. And so his reactions to things, I can understand what he's going through because I understand astrology.
That translates as I'm a pain in the ass sometimes lately, because I have the energy of the god of the underworld going through my son, which is your ego, and but no excuses.
We're also judgmental about people if they don't have the same theories or politics or religion or whatever it is. But if you make an effort to understand their layers and their quirks and strengths and weaknesses, that creates a whole portrait. Some of them you're going to be drawn to, and some of them not. But don't be so judgmental because we're all so individual.
We really like people at the end of the day because we know everybody's in the same boat. We're all facing mortality and getting up in the morning and getting a day older. And all the things that we've done, all the creativity, which is for us a great way to spend our life, because we have a track record, we are able to get deals. And actually they came to us for this last 3-book deal, which is incredible at our age. But we're trying to share what we've learned so that because life is hard and even for us sometimes.
Monte just cleaned out his studio, part of the Pluto process. And he found 1,000 charts that he's done over the years,
Dot matrix printers and even by hand.
But
when we used to do them by hand.
What I was going to say is that's experience, right? Reading that many charts and understanding how it works, so we could write this big book ultimately. But there's so much superficial in this spiritual realm, the spiritual space now, right? That astrologers who are 20 years old
in bikinis
talking about what the moon phases mean, or and same with what you do. All of a sudden you're an energy healer. So it makes it a weird time. I mean, if we had known, it's kind of exciting that so many people are into it, and
well, it's now we
better
go
than
to
not. But on the other hand, I don't know how people are discerning about who's for real and who's experienced. And
Exactly. Well, you know what I was thinking also is, can anyone create a deck?
it
And
seems like it.
well, if
what
you're
is
an
that?
artist,
Right. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, I
yeah,
mean, you could because it's somebody invented oracles to begin with,
sure.
so, right? But it goes with what I was just saying about life experience. You want all of life to be incorporated in this oracle or tarot system so that anyone can ask a question and really get an answer.
Hmm.
Um, but now, people are getting very specific about, who the oracle is for. It's a BIPOC oracle or it's a Native American oracle.
LBQ,
Right.
I mean, we did our stuff when we were young, and when you look back on the music in the 60s, some of the best music was done by people in their teens and early 20s.
But
So,
you
yeah,
can't,
sure, it can be done.
but I think, we're all looking for authenticity. So you shouldn't just make an oracle to make money, or you
Yeah,
want it to be an exploration of everything that your inner wisdom. So it's like any art, right? It should be an authentic expression of yourself.
So the intention when you're creating it, if some like with which I think is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If someone's like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'm just going to put these things together. I'm going to
that's
have a
great.
deck. But to me, it's much more than that.
It's a sacred ritual, like,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, we're making the sacred documents, or what do they call it in Galaxy Quest? I love that movie.
So
The
Amy,
historic,
we have
yeah.
to take a little detour because I want to just talk about, I mean, don't worry, Monty, I have plenty of questions that it's more
I
you.
want the tough questions.
No, we're getting there. We're getting there. But I have to ask you, Amy, about your caftans, which are so exquisite. And I know you have a lot of you have celebrity clients, and you've had this ongoing kind of situation with Bergdorf Goodman for a while. How
Yeah.
did that happen?
That
Because
happened in another magical way, the way all our important life passages happen. I ran into somebody that I knew from college days. She was staying with a friend of mine. I hadn't seen her in maybe 20 years. And I was wearing one of my creations, and I always had, pictures or postcards or little brochures of what I was doing.
Or slides.
Yeah, for some reason I showed her and she said, "Oh my God, I could sell this." She said, "I'm a personal shopper at Bergdorf Goodman." I only had like maybe six that I had made for me and some to hang on the wall. My early ones were
Thick.
like wall pieces,
Yeah.
just an extension of my tapestry. And she said, let's show the buyer. So I went in with my little collection and she took it right away. And I was like, all of a sudden in Bergdorf Goodman, and I wasn't trained as a fashion
That
designer.
was Amy's first
So
store.
I loved clothes ever since I was little and was always drawing clothes. So
And she was there for 20 something years until recently when they started getting weird about going out of business.
I kind of hit the ground running, and it was like, Amy, come, you have a client, come measure her. And like, I didn't even know how. I was like, oh, do I have to look at them? So anyhow, I became like their caftan lady because that was from me in the 70s. I was a hippie boho. That's how I dressed. And, I had pictures of myself in caftans from the 70s. So I just fell in love with working with people and designing for people and, inventing how many ways can I do a caftan? Because at one point I had this Middle Eastern princess who bought like 80 of them. So each one had to be like completely different, completely different. She had certain colors and looks that she liked. So I was like churning out caftans, although they're one of a kind and handmade and hand stitched and everything. And I needed a tailor then to help me. And that came into my life magically because, you can't find anyone out here to do that. But it happened. He practically walked in my door.
how long does it take you to make one of them?
A couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, I have a big studio, so I'm always working on multiple things, and that became my gallery. Like Bergdorf Goodman, I would have trunk shows every couple of weeks. We had to learn who everyone was in the store. Monty would come with me, and it was like
read for people.
It's like, hi, Amy, where's your husband? I need to talk to your husband. It's like,
Still
so we
is.
became, the story that we are, where Monty's in the fitting room with some rich customer, while I'm on.
Wait,
having-
that didn't sound good.
It
Monty's in the
doesn't
fitting
sound good, but it
room.
was all kosher.
It was fine.
It was like it should have been a sitcom, really.
I got so comfortable there. The one time I was super tired, I just fell asleep in one of the fitting rooms.
There's so much schlepping and standing and talking and reading people. I mean, thank
Yeah.
God we know how to read people because, is somebody for real? Or they really, they're looking at this $5,000 gown and they're trying it on and they want 10 more. Is that for real? And then other people that you think are going to be for real aren't for real.
Right.
It's a study in human nature. And
I was going to say.
It's international. There's people from all over the world that come there.
Well, for an example, that princess wouldn't talk to you directly. She had people that would talk to Amy, even though she's standing right there.
Oh my God.
Because she's a Saudi princess. So, okay. But she bought 80 of them. I remember one time she was waiting for us and she bought $10,000 worth of perfume.
While she was waiting.
While she was waiting, just sitting in a chair. I don't know how she did it, but she was good
It's
at
very
it.
rarefied. But
Yeah.
Oh, quick stories, though.
And here we are, living in Springs in the same house Amy grew up in. And I mean, her studio is wonderful.
It's very different than, there's fashion houses and the things are manufactured, or even if it's couture, they have like 80 people working on, this brand, but from mine were one of a kind, me and my tailor, and I would bring in whatever I made. It
was like, I have a bunch of cookies. I'm going to bring them down to the corner store. That's what it was like.
I had that they let me just do what I want, and deliver what I want, and make what I want.
And some of the fashion houses would scout Amy's work. And one time Bergdorf refused to take something from one of the big names because it was obviously something that they had copied from Amy.
Oh, wow.
And they had the people at Bergdorf had worked on this piece with Amy because it was for a particular client. And they were like, no, I know where you got that. And they wouldn't take it.
But it's interesting because women are so hard on themselves.
Oh my God.
The way they look, and even the most perfect model, makes fun of her thighs or whatever. It's
and they all eat chocolate.
Hard, in New York, everyone wears black, so I would try to get them, just try on some color, and you could see the person, would feel transformed just to try something different than covering, that armor that New Yorkers wear. But I do like to do commissions, whether it's a piece of clothing or a tapestry. And a lot of artists don't like to do that, but I like the challenge of making something specifically for someone. I do their astrology chart and can see their colors and their
that's very cool.
That way. Yeah.
It's fun.
It takes a unusual person, but
yeah.
Well, you guys are unusual.
What makes you say that?
And I like unusual people.
Well, yeah, of course. All right, let's go back to astrology now, because I have some really interesting, juicy questions.
You're pretty unusual yourself. I think that's why we get along.
I am. Actually, I'm reading a book now. I just have to say, a little off topic, but so interesting. It's called The Power. It's called Oprah. Did you ever hear of the term an Otravert?
What a great name. I love it.
Is that Monte?
Gift of not belonging. So you're not an extrovert. You're not an introvert.
Outside.
I'm reading this book, and it's one of those books where every page I'm like, oh my God, that's me.
I love that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's like the personality types: an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert.
No, but this is very specific.
I love it.
Really,
that sounds great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yes, I am. I think I said to you guys, I'm one of I'm as Stewart Wilde calls the the fringe dwellers.
I was just saying that when I was describing Bergdorf, we would go there, but then run home, to our Zerner World Cave, and you have to process. I think when you are outside, you're an observer, and then when you put yourself in it, then afterwards you have to process to understand, exactly what's your energy and what's their energy.
And I think also we were talking before about experience. We understand what's a genuine experience and what's genuinely valuable. And I think that's half of what life is all about, is what is really valuable. I mean, I did go to Studio 54 and, we did meet Andy Warhol and all these people. And I was Michael J. Fox's bodyguard and I saw what success is at that level. And it's like, no, I don't think
Right.
I'm not, that is certainly not the carrot that I'm trying to catch because it's not easy. None of that is easy.
Mm-hmm.
And especially Studio 54, that was nuts.
Yeah,
But
that's for another show.
yeah, for sure. Oh my God, yes. Or for my next novel, actually. I just finished my first novel.
That's why
Yeah,
I know Monty is you're a night owl because he'll post on
yeah.
Facebook and I look at the post and it's like, okay, that was an hour ago and that was 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I was up till 3 last night.
Wait, are you a night owl? How come you're saying that?
Sometimes I wake up between 3 and 4, like clockwork, and sometimes I'll turn on my phone and I just don't do it. I'm like, oh, let me just go see what's going on.
Well, I'm having so much fun. I have not had this much fun writing something since, or creatively since I used to play music. Doing this novel because it's just so much fun, and it's about music too. So
Yeah, that's great. Very
yeah,
cool.
it's a lot of fun.
All right, so I have a question about astrology that
Here we go. Okay,
I've
ask
heard.
the tough questions.
No, I've
I
heard.
want
I've heard that a soul decides when they want to when they want to be on the earth plane. They choose when they're going to incarnate, and therefore their chart reflects when they're born. So the soul decides this is the experience I want to have. So they're born. That's the placements in their chart. Or it's arbitrary. This is when you were conceived. Therefore, 9 months later, you're going to be born. You had no control over it. This is your experience, whether you like it or not. And I
I
wonder
think both of those are accurate.
really.
Yeah. Because first of all, what's the difference if both of them are accurate? Because if it's
You
just
still have to deal with
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, I don't know if you ever watched what was it called, Project Runway, where Tim Gunn would say, "Make it work."
Hmm.
That's my approach to an astrology chart. Is here's your chart, make it work, because you can look at the same chart and not know if this person is a genius or has mentally
Right.
challenged issues. You just can't,
Hmm.
because it depends on the level that you're operating on, or it depends on a whole your life circumstances, how you were born, what was your mother involved, have chemicals in her that affected, there's so many intricate things, but it always comes back to here's the ball, run with it. What can you do with it?
Mm.
I mean, I would like to know if it was one or the other, but essentially it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Or is that, I don't mean to be snotty.
No. I really want to know what you thought of it because it is really interesting to look at. I think most people would think, oh, I was born. This is what I got. I didn't choose this. Now you're obviously not going to know whether your soul in a
I like the idea that
I
we
love it.
chose it.
Yeah, and I've had experiences. Writing the books have made me psychic, so I've had experiences that have shown me that there is something on the other side. I've had messages come through that I could only know if I was talking to someone who was dead or hearing someone who was dead.
I was just thinking sometimes Monty comes from a a Brooklyn policeman and a mentally ill mother. And then sometimes he's thinking, how did I come out of that? And I said, they gave you a really strong, big body. That's why you chose them.
Yeah. And I do remember a time when I sort of walked into my body when I was little and I had scarlet fever in the hospital in this crib. I sort of remember looking at myself and seeing myself separate. Of course, that could be BS and I could just be having an implanted memory, but I sort of do. So maybe I'm a walk-in.
Well,
But
we have healthy skepticism too.
yeah, very much
I mean, I'm sure people look at what we believe in and think, it's woo-woo. I feel like, we have a healthy skepticism researching all these years, since the 70s with past lifetimes. We've had experience with that or different types of healing modalities. You have to do it, so people are skeptical about astrology.
I don't
I
blame.
would think, how would you know if you never did it or had your chart read by a good astrologer, which is key, a good astrologer, just like a good dentist or a good doctor, somebody recommended.
That's why we're so excited about your cosmic blueprint. Because first of all, they did an amazing job and it's beautiful.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I know you've had it.
Wait, we got to send you one or give you one since you're in the area.
I am in
No,
the area.
it's basically designed to take you from not knowing astrology but being interested in it to you can hang out your shingle as an astrologer if you read the whole book. And when I've taught classes, some people have gone on to be astrologers professionally. And with AI taking everybody's job, you might as well become an astrologer because you
I have an AI question for you too, but I'm going to hold off
sure
on that. First, we
any
have to ask about AI. Curious about the connection between tarot, or do you say tarot or tarot?
either one.
Tarot, I
Yeah,
say.
tarot. I usually say tarot. I don't know why I'm saying tarot today. I usually say tarot.
A lot of people say
It's
tarot.
either or.
Listen, I answer to
Tarot.
Marty.
Okay, Marty. So what's the connection between tarot and astrology, right? Because there are people that just do tarot and there are people that just do astrology. It would seem, and tell me if I'm right, that astrology is somewhat fixed, right? You're born, these are the placements. However, you do go through different phases through life. And tarot is kind of like the present read as to kind of what's going on. Is that
You
somewhat?
can tell tendencies in astrology based on what are called transits because you ingest the hologram of where the planets were when you're born. That's the first breath. It's not when you're born, it's when you take your first breath. But the planets keep moving, and the angles that they make to where they were when you were born is how an astrologer can interpret what's coming up.
So in other words, you have your birth chart, that's your portrait, that's always there. But your transits, different things are highlighted and make different events happen in your life.
It's timing is basically what it is. A tarot card is like a search engine. You have a question, you ask it, and and we invented the Enchanted Tarot before search engines, but after they started coming out, we realized, well, that's really what it is. You shuffle, and you put your intention into it, and you have the question. You pick a card. What does that card mean to you based on what the question you were asked is? So it's more specific to the question.
But there's a system of the tarot.
Right.
There's 78 cards. All of life are portrayed in those cards in one way or another. And we kind of modernized,
Yes.
when our deck came out in 1990, kind of evened out the sexes. And
Yes. Oh my God.
we try to make the answers apply to modern life more than, and we try to make things easy and accessible and yet take you to a deeper place. The systems, astrology and tarot, they're independent.
Right.
They're
It's like
not really related.
there are people that try and relate them, but it's sort of like trying to
Forcing
squeeze. Yeah, we try and
So
keep
when
them
you're
separate.
doing, so when someone comes to you, let's just like hypothetical, someone comes to you with a big life decision. Should I move? Should I marry this person? Should I do this? What's the process that you will use? I mean, you probably look at their chart, you probably see what's going on, and do you also like do a whole spread? And like I would love to know
Yeah,
what
it's
your
fun.
process is. Someone has a big decision to make.
Well, if they're asking some cockamamie astrologer about whether they should marry this person, my advice is I don't even have to do the reading. Don't. That's like when they say it's either one. What are you
All right, it's a
asking
bad
for?
example. It's a bad example. Should I move and relocate to?
It's not a bad example because people do it. It's
Well,
not.
she's talking about your real clients who come to you
No.
maybe for an hour.
Okay, so I have repeat clients, and you wonder, well, we're talking about your birth chart. Your birth chart doesn't change. Yes, you're right. They have issues or investments. A lot of them are about investments, and they want to know. So I'll tell them what the chart says, and then I'll say we can do a tarot reading because I have a camera that'll shoot straight down
But
and do a tarot reading.
Monty's psychic, so
Right.
there's that element. When you do enough readings, you are psychic. It makes you psychic. You've been exercising your psychic skills, but depending on the question, he can either see it in the chart. He has both going on. He has their chart pulled up, and he can show them what the cards are saying to specific questions. But they generally like both because the tarot's are visual. He has an overhead camera that shows you what the cards are saying. And then you can see in the astrology chart, you can see your partner, you can see your father, you can see your mother, you can see your kids, you can see really anything. And you can go on and on. You can get a reading once a year, or if it's like you say, an issue comes up, an important move, decision, that's when it's good to get a reading also.
The main thing is that we're trying to help people become stronger.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want people to. Ptolemy said, "The stars incline; they do not compel," and that was like a couple of thousand years ago, and it's true. Your free will should be the most important thing. I once had someone ask me if they should have this child or have an abortion. I said, well, you are asking the wrong question.
Mm-hmm.
That is not something that you ask an astrologer. You should be asking your heart and your partner.
But our books are designed for people to read themselves.
Exactly, to empower themselves.
So it's like a do-it-yourself. I mean, it's interesting to go to a reader and have it confirmed, or, your own intuition. I think that's a great use of it. But otherwise, I can have the cards by my desk.
Yeah,
if I'm stumped on something or wondering how a meeting's going to go or how to handle the meeting the best, you learn how to best ask questions the more you do it, so that you can get the best use of it.
One of my favorite things is when a family engages me to work with the young people in the family. Because, well, I'm going to be honest I'm like having the crazy uncle who's the astrologer, tarot reader, and I've had a lot of life experiences, and I have helped people to go through some rough times, like a big move when they're going from one school to another. And that's one of the things I hope with your Cosmic Blueprint is that it's going to be like a textbook in the schools, because when young people understand astrology in particular, they understand themselves better, and that makes a big difference in their life.
And confidence,
yeah.
If you can accept or embrace your weirdness or your
exactly, and I am weird. Well, also, I once taught a fifth grade class out here in the spring school. They let me teach a class in astrology, and
that's great.
You could hear a pin drop. People are, oh, kids are so, no, they wanted to know. And they asked great questions. And one of the most important things about your Cosmic Blueprint is it teaches about the rising sign. Because the rising sign is how you appear to other people, whether you know it or whether you want to appear that way or not. And you could be the nicest person in the world. If you're an Aries rising, they think you're more aggressive than you are.
Do you know what your rising sign is?
Guess. Just look at me. You'll figure it out.
I don't guess.
Leo.
Cool.
That makes sense.
Me too. Well, when Leo...
Oh, look at you lion faces. Yep.
Yeah, cat faces.
But I'm a Taurus. My birthday's actually Saturday.
Oh,
I was going to say Taurus.
Taurus. Yep.
So Taurus and Aquarius are square.
Leo and Taurus are both fixed signs.
So that would put your sun in either your 9th or your 10th house. See, knowing astrology, like just knowing that someone's a Leo rising, when Leo risings walk in the room, everyone turns around. You got the hair, you got the look, you got the whole thing. I got the glasses and the hat.
But I don't like the attention. I don't like being the center. Like, I don't like, it's like a...
Too bad. I mean, as your astrologer, it's like get used, make it work somehow. Well, look, you're doing a podcast. That's
very Leo rising.
Yeah, exactly.
The Leo risings and Leo's like stage of whatever stage.
Yeah, when you see Leo in a chart, it's all Mick Jagger. It's all showbiz, showtime.
Well, what's very interesting about this book is it talks about the people that they don't want to be part of the group thing, makes them very uncomfortable. But if they have a role that is they're different from the others, they will be in the spotlight. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of true. Like if I'm separate from everyone else, but I have to do this thing, I can do it. But if I have to do this thing and we're all doing this thing, I don't want to be the one that gets all the attention. If that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
Where's your moon?
Libra.
Well, there you go, like Amy. Well, that's your celestial trilogy is the sun, moon, and rising sign.
A lot of Venus.
Where that?
A lot of Venus and.
You have Venus and Libra?
No, well, with Libra, but they're Taurus.
Yeah, it's ruled by. Yeah, they're both ruled by Venus. Yeah. So Taurus are here to show everyone how strong they are, and especially to show themselves how strong they are. Because the thing with astrology, everybody forgets, is that it doesn't mean you come into the world as a Taurus. It means you're here to learn about Taurus. I'm here to learn about Aquarius, learn about being different, unusual. Amy's here to learn about being an Aries. And right now, Aries are getting slammed because there's like,
I
well,
know.
Chiron, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune are all in Aries.
Well, I have Mars in Aries. Isn't that
She
exactly
does.
what's going on, right? Isn't that right now? Like,
Yeah, Mars is exactly conjunct Mercury today. So,
And is it opposite your moon? Like we both have moon in Libra and we both have Mars in Aries. That's a good understanding.
sorry, your astrologer's not supposed to laugh. But Amy and I both, and you also, we all three of us have Mars opposite Moon, which means we can get really pissed off sometimes. So that's something to,
it
and
doesn't
with
last
you,
long.
No.
well, that's Aries
Yes,
doesn't
Mars,
last
yeah.
long. But
Well, also moon in Libra wants everything to be nice.
don't fight everybody. And I have, I'm an Aquarius, but I have Moon in Pisces, so that's what keeps me from being a total robot. But I'll give you a little hint about Leo risings because you're Leo rising. No one ever feels sorry for us, by the way, ever. Don't ever expect anybody to feel sorry for you. I have a lot of friends who are doctors. I could walk in with an arrow through my head. Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just lie down. Come back in a couple of weeks. You'll be fine.
Oh, that's really funny.
It's so true, though.
But
Oh
I
my
feel
God.
like such a Taurus. Like if I'm
I,
looking at it, don't make me do what I don't want to do. Don't make me, if you're putting change on me that I haven't initiated it. No, like all the things that you read, I'm
yeah,
like, yep, yep.
yeah. Well, the fixed signs are the stubborn signs.
But sometimes the Taurus can endure for too long, put up with something
Oh my
Right.
God.
because
Yeah.
they're proving their strength.
Right. Especially if the moon is in Taurus and Jupiter's in Taurus. This has been my experience. Those are the people that should have left somebody but don't, or should have left a job but don't. But they get it eventually. But you're here to show everybody how to be strong. You guys don't go around it, you don't go under it, you don't go over it, you go through it. That's Taurus. Just like, I'm gonna knock this right over.
It's the
And
ball.
yeah, exactly. And you're patient, and especially because you're Moon and Libra, but good God, with Mars and Aries, don't get you mad. Oh my God.
Well, it's funny because someone who did my chart years ago. Oh, actually, you know what? I think it might have been anyway, someone local, but long
Yes.
years ago. And she said the only thing in your chart you kind of want to watch is this Mars and Aries because it's like you act impulsively without
Can.
necessarily being like,
What I think the best, since I have it also, is that we can do things without thinking. But I see that as a good thing that we don't overthink it.
I don't know. I think the Taurus side of me it wins, and I'm very deliberate. I'm deliberate in what I do. I'm deliberate in what I say. I don't say things and
Well,
regret
it
it.
tempers the Mars then, but then the Mars makes you, act.
So you
Oh
guys
yeah, I'll
really,
act. I'll put something together, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
yeah, but you guys really are the army of one. Mars and Aries. That Mars and Aries are the two names of the god of war.
Oh, there you go.
So, and what surprised me is when I told people about how Mars is the energy in a person's chart that's available, the aggressive energy available to get what the ego wants. And people are like, well, aggression is a bad word. No, it's not.
Mm,
Mars is like the magician in the tarot in the sense that you go and make things happen. That's Mars and Aries.
Oh,
And some
definitely.
people, but once again, if someone's a straight out tarot reader, they're going to think that Mars and the Emperor go together, which I don't see. But it's like rabbis. You put two in a room, you get three opinions. but we have our thing.
We have our own opinions.
Yeah, I personally,
they're all open to discovery and research, and it's a science. Astrology is a science of observation. So over the years, that's how it started.
Yeah,
people would observe what was happening when the moon was in a certain phase. When was good time to plant?
that was the earliest one.
Early, how the moon affects the tides and the water. So,
and it used to
it's
be
an ongoing science of observation even now, when we see and learn, about someone and their chart and understand it, then you see how that manifests, and you can use that when you meet somebody else with similar configuration.
like now we're going to know you have Mars and Aries and Moon and Libra. My first experience with astrology was my father was a New York City police sergeant, and he told me about the full moon and how crazy it was. And he might have been, he was an inventor, so he might have been the person who invented the tinfoil hat. Because in the 50s, I remember him telling me that he would tell people to make a hat out of aluminum foil to keep the rays that they were complaining about from affecting them. So
Maybe.
yeah, he might have invented it. There you go. All those tinfoil hats. I could have made money on every one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really curious about something when you're doing readings for people, or when you're even for yourself, when you're just pulling a card, do you use anything to protect your energy, both your energy, and if you're reading for a client, that the information you're getting is for their highest good and is not infiltrated? Because as those of us in this spiritual world, we know there's a lot of spiritual infiltration happening. And it's something that, maybe not necessarily you guys, but someone else doing this, how would they know they're not being like, who do they know where they're getting the information from? That it's not a dark force.
Well, you can't go by what you get. I mean, if you're doing a one like our psychic circle, it says jump off the building. I mean, don't jump off the building.
Well,
I always,
I'm not talking about that obvious. What about um
No, I know what you're
if I
saying.
if I offer, pick a card, like we were doing that at Provisions, right?
Mhm.
I like to say, ask the question for your highest good and greatest joy. It's like that puts it in a certain energy field, I think.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're very trusting. I mean, if somebody comes to our home is protected and full of
Well, I'm trusting.
protective images and everything. When Monty's doing it by Zoom, we have crystals all over our table, and he just is trusting that the answer is coming from a pure place. But I don't think you always know where it's coming from.
Well, here's the thing. I grew up in Brooklyn during the gang wars. I'm not really afraid of anything or anyone. And I have maybe it's a Leo rising thing. You tell me, but I do not feel like anything on the outside is strong enough to affect me. If I ally myself with the highest forces that I am capable of, and
But it's an
So now,
honor when
that is your
somebody,
protection, then.
yeah, it is.
I feel like do your best. I'm gonna be myself. I feel the same way when I walk down the street.
I mean, I can ask Monty, sometimes I'm feeling I'm missing my mother so much, and he'll channel my mother
That's what,
for
yeah,
me. Or we have a doctor friend who died a long time ago, and sometimes Monty asks health things of him. And it's just amazing what comes through when you do trust that the answer is there. But it's an honor to read for someone and have them put
yes,
their trust in you. And,
yes,
you have to hold that trust. It's very special. People confide in you, and people are afraid or in a state of anxiety, or you want, like any counselor. I'm sure you get that with people.
sure. Well, I always say I could be wrong, and you have to go by what you feel.
Mhm.
Because if it doesn't resonate with somebody who asks the question, I could be wrong. I'm not wrong a lot,
I
but
think there's so many different states of mind that people are in when they go for a reading. Sometimes they're attached to what they want to hear. Are they going to meet somebody? Are they going to meet somebody soon? They're like, there's a desperation, and then you have to reframe it and put the power back into them of
right,
what they are capable of manifesting, or what do they really want, because sometimes people think they want this, but if you start peeling the layers with them, which the tarot is so great at doing, you get to a place, that's more empowering.
that's a good question that you asked. Um, it just kind of makes me feel odd about myself and that I don't think about the question.
No,
I,
but
I really don't. I always try and
I think because you've done it for so many
right,
years, and
right.
if somebody sort of mastered,
Hmm.
that's like somebody asking me, where my inspiration comes from. It's like,
well, I also feel that the goddess obviously loves me because I'm having a wonderful life. I'm relatively healthy. Yes, there's things that happen when you're 76, you got to deal with. But I know I want to be on the side of the angels. If I'm doing things that are hurting people, it's not because I want to. It's because I'm just not aware of it. But so far, everything's good. I have some amazing results as a result of counseling people, like hooking people up in the weirdest ways possible. And that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. But I don't think I've ever had somebody come back and say, you know, that thing you did, and the next thing I knew, I was driving off a cliff. No, no, so far so good.
That's the thing too, is that the work that you do is really, I see it as meant for clarity. It's meant
Yes,
to give someone some guidance.
yes,
Ultimately, it has to be their own intuition and
yeah.
discernment, and they actually have to take the action to make the change, because otherwise you're going to get these people who are addicted every week. They come back for another
Oh,
reading
yeah,
and say,
Yeah.
why didn't anything happen? I mean, look, I see it in the work I do. It's
yes.
the same kind of thing. I mean, I do, energy work to kind of help help the process going by, working with their subconscious. But yeah, it's getting clarity, like, oh God, that's where I've been feeling so heavy, or that's why this. And
Yeah.
now with these
And
tools,
that it's somebody that can articulate what what is going on that they might feel or
exactly,
have no identification for.
and validation.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think, I mean, Monty attracts very emotionally intelligent people and people
so
that are
far. Yeah.
they're working on very interesting things. And I think, you magnetize the right.
Mhm.
I see we went on TikTok because we're authors and you're supposed to, and we were doing free readings for people, and I was like shocked at a certain level of, will he come back to me? Will he come back to me? Will he?
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
what's going on with that? Will he
Yeah,
come back to me? Because we weren't used to that. We're used to, you know, help
Not
me
caring
with
if he comes back to you.
right.
well, not
That's the
only that,
advice.
but intelligent questions about real things and real issues. Anyhow, we switched, we reframed that and started attracting, different level. But
When I
I think
work,
that, that's the age we live in with social media. There's like so many levels of that,
Right.
and
when
there's abuse of it also.
when I worked in the film business, my best friends were the Teamsters, and they have a very direct, real experience of life. If you want to talk about, there's no toxic positivity with the Teamsters, but they were my best friends, and that's the kind of level of honesty I think people need more of in their life, is to be honest with themselves, and to be honest in the sense that they have to have more Taurus in them. They have to have more confidence in their strength to deal with stuff.
You have to deal with the real world.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And, there's in the new age, they talk about the Pleiades or things that, that are so far removed from real life practical things. I think we need practical advice, light shed on ourselves, that we places that we might not be seeing properly.
Well,
But
people can't put themselves in another person's place.
yeah,
That's a big one. And that's one of the things that our oracles help you to do, is to free associate. And remember that the person you're asking about is not a cardboard cutout. They have a life like you. And that's one thing astrology does. It says that person has a chart. They're a certain way. Once again, make it work and don't feel like you're a victim.
Hmm.
and
Oh,
also sometimes, like Monty said, you just need like that moonstruck, snap out of it.
my favorite
People
scene.
get into this habitual way of thinking, that they're only going to be happy if this happens, or once this happens, then everything will be okay. But there's so much more
Well, there's
going on.
a lot of programming that they have from childhood, brainwashing or mind control
Yes,
stuff that's going
yeah,
on.
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
word.
there's all kinds of stuff. So you probably see it, that you can see probably right away. Oh, that's that's what's speaking here, is
yeah,
their trauma
Their
is
past.
speaking, or
Yeah.
their past,
That's one of the interesting things about astrology. There's a comet. Astrology certainly has things that sound specious, and this is one, which is that there's a comet called Chiron. Chiron was the teacher of Achilles. Chiron is the centaur in the Sagittarius sign, and Chiron represents childhood trauma. So when I look at a person's chart, I would say 95% of the times it explains childhood traumas, especially if there's like up next to a planet or making a hard aspect to a planet. So that's one of the benefits of astrology is the rising sign is how other people see you. So, and sometimes that's enough to help someone change their life. They see you this way. That's why you've been wondering your whole life why people don't get you. And then Chiron explains the childhood trauma. And when you're around 50, it comes back. That's the other thing with astrology is the timing, because when it returns, it brings up what happened the last time. So if you're in your around 50, you're getting the Chiron return. Childhood traumas that weren't dealt with are going to come back.
So I have Chiron in Pisces.
Okay, so
What does that mean?
if it's in the late Pisces, the Saturn Neptune thing was dancing around there for like a year. So that would mean you really, really, really having dreams about childhood trauma. Well, also it depends on what the trauma was.
I don't have any childhood trauma.
That's what they say.
Well, maybe little T trauma. I don't have big trauma. My parents were married 70 years. Like,
Wow.
That could be the trauma, but
yeah,
that's
what's
what
the
I'm trying to
trauma?
say.
Actually, that was the trauma. They
No,
should have put it together.
okay, hard act to follow is a trauma. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it wasn't a hard. It wasn't a hard act. I didn't want that act, actually.
Okay, but there's the trauma.
Okay,
I'm
so
not saying
I
when I
know
say
what you're
trauma,
saying.
it's the wrong word. It's
I
the
know what
wrong
you're
word.
saying. Yeah, it's
It's something that's incomprehensible to a young person.
interesting. I never
Yeah,
heard it explained that way. I just went, oh, it's the wounded healer. It's like the whatever, and I never really
I
got
know.
what it
Tell
meant.
me about it. That's why I wrote the book. And in your cosmic blueprint, I say, don't discuss what I'm teaching you with another astrologer until you finish the book. Don't, because they're going to have something else to say about it. But I've really arrived at this from reading for amazing people and thinking about it all the time. And it's Chiron is very tricky. As a matter of fact, I'm going on a podcast to just talk about Chiron with another astrologer. So it's that important.
Mm.
And everyone's like, oh, Saturn return or Mercury retrograde. Chiron return is a major thing. And like when you're 40, you have Uranus opposing where it was. That's the crisis of middle age. That's what astrology is all about, is timing. It's not saying this is going to happen, a little bit, but it's like you're going to feel like if you have made, like in the Uranus opposition when you're around 40, have you made your life a statement of your originality? Do you get excited to wake up in the morning? If not, you better do it because Uranus will help you. And you don't want the planets to help you because they do it in the worst way at the worst
Right.
time. Because
That's
they
true.
don't have time. They're just like, okay, what do you say? And yes, I'm anthropomorphizing the planets. But
But they need to be. So
the fact that you're asking the questions you're asking means you'd make a great astrologer.
You can be an
You
astrologer.
can-
you too can be an astrologer. But we
Sorry.
have to wrap up because I'm going to let you guys go. So we have to talk about AI because I'm sure you guys have heard that people are going to AI for therapy. They're going to it for advice. I'm sure people are getting readings by AI, and I would love to just know what your thoughts are on this.
Well, I don't know anyone specifically who's gotten meetings, but I have heard that. I just think it's part of the age of Aquarius that we're in, which is technology and the future and craziness and extremism. And it's that whole mix in so many ways in the world now. So I think it's just going to evolve. I mean, it's definitely not going anywhere.
It's not. I wouldn't do it, but if somebody else wants to do it, it's their business. But when I was in high school, I got into honor English, and for the first year in 1964, we studied the Bible in a public high school, in Brooklyn Technical High School, and I got a lot out of it. But as a published author, I know you get edited, so I can't look at a book as the revealed word of God. It just doesn't work because it's how many thousand years? Things change. I look at AI the same way. It is limited by how it was programmed. Even if it was programmed with every astrology book in the world, how does it synthesize? It doesn't know the human experience. It doesn't know what sex is. So you're going to go to AI with your sex problems? I mean, let's say I would go to it and say, look, I'm going to have my consciousness put into a bubble What do you think? Because you're living that right now. Its lived experience is nowhere near a lived experience. So I wouldn't do it myself, but I can see
But
people.
it's going to evolve probably into an amazing thing. I mean, so smart. Like if you want to research something,
Oh, research, it's great.
Yeah,
not that you can rely on and know that it's all true either.
I think it
Well,
has its place. The thing that's kind of troubling is what I've heard is that it basically mirrors back to you. It has your information, it mirrors back what you want to hear. And the more
Mm,
you keep having this conversation, it gets bigger and bigger. And then people are walking around basically delusional.
yeah.
And it's like
well,
it's
yeah.
But
telling
if
you
you're
what you
that
want to
way to
hear.
begin with, I mean, if you're that vulnerable, it's gonna that weakness is gonna get you somehow unless you deal with it in some sort of healing way.
Well, it's
But yeah, it's like they're giving their power away, just like what we were talking about that people do to healers or people that take advantage. They're not discerning or they haven't developed that instinct yet. But that's why we encourage people to be more intuitive, especially in this world of lies and liars and illusion. You have to be more intuitive than ever to see who's full of shit or who isn't. And
Well, I read that MIT study about AI, and it was saying that, first of all, it's not saving companies as much money as they're saying. And the other thing is it has a huge hallucination rate, like 25% hallucination rate. So it's basically talking bullshit.
Mhm.
And like you say, it's either saying what you want to hear.
it's programmed to say what you want to hear and to
Exactly.
kiss your ass, right?
Right. Because, first of all, they'll never make the money that they're putting into these data centers.
Ugh.
They would have to make more than Microsoft, the
Mhm.
Microsoft suite, which is the most profitable thing that's ever been invented. And they would have to be like three times that that profitable.
But if
So,
you're asking AI, what should I do about this fight I had with my mother-in-law? And it tells you
shoot.
you did the right thing. But she really is a bitch or whatever. I mean, why are you going there for that advice?
Exactly. It's like the people who come
People
to me and say,
follow
"Well,
what's the coolest thing out there. That's what they do.
yeah, but
Yes.
they're cheap. They don't want to pay the money to somebody, a person, or they don't want to share their secrets with a person. But
And it's very experimental, right? We all jumped on to see how it works.
it's a lot better than Google. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that. It's going to put Google and those places out
Well,
of
Google
business.
is AI, right? People using AI all the time don't even know it, right?
Well, there's that, but there's no advertising. Like when you go to Grok or when we go to Grok, there's no
Well,
advertising.
the thing
So
is, it's going to make websites obsolete because there's no now search engine. The Google search will bring you to a website. Now AI is going to give you the answer. So all these people that are doing SEO stuff is like, forget that.
Hmm.
no, that's 100% true. But at the same time, it's great for plumbers and electricians and carpenters. I'll tell you that because AI is never going to, and
Hairdresser.
hairdressers and
Although there's filters now, so
Oh
I
my
just we have to ride these waves because every day it's something new and something different, and the reverse of what you heard yesterday, and keeping our centers more than
I know. And
ever.
what's real? Yeah, what you're hearing, is it real? Is it not? I don't listen to anything
Yeah,
because I don't believe anything anyone's telling us. So,
100%.
agree. Yeah.
Well, how about all the people? I was never in the military, but I was in the Civil Air Patrol, which is as close as I got. And one of the things I found out is you never knew what these officers were thinking or saying or doing. So everyone's like, "Well, this guy is doing this, and this general's saying this." Oh, yeah, okay,
yeah,
great.
exactly right.
And then if you read Sun Tzu, it said all warfare is based on deception. That's the first thing he says, which is true. So you're supposed to base your opinion that you're going to go into the barbershop and talk about based on deception. Someone's lying to you, and you're taking it as true.
But it goes back to knowing yourself, right?
Yeah,
And it takes work and daily vigilance, and
that's why you need your cosmic
that's
blueprint.
right.
And
All
I
right.
actually
So,
spent I
talking about Cosmic Blueprint and all of your books and tools and decks, how do you how do you recommend people utilize all these tools to get the most out of them, to feel empowered, not like they're giving their power away? How do you suggest people like really sit down before, get clear about what they
yes,
like? What's your
Yeah.
suggestion?
Well,
definitely
it's
do
like
deep
a
breathing.
little
Yeah, yeah.
ritual, little
All our
way of
books do that. Yeah.
clearing the air and coming into really what's going on and being able to read the energy now, you know. Give me a card on my next step for this project.
For my highest good.
Or let me know how to deal with this person for my highest good and greatest joy. Or, you know, tell me what I should keep in mind today, you know, when I go to this meeting.
That's what you should be asking yourself, not AI.
Yeah, because the cards are yourself. And you look at the art and you see the symbols and you see the colors and you see the words and how do they resonate. And, you know, is that the truth that you're hearing? Is it? And usually is, yeah.
One of the reasons I called Karma Cards, or my first book in 1988, and I got a lot of pushback because no one knew what karma was. But it was because of Edgar Casey's version of what is karma, which is meeting yourself. It's not some weird stuff. It's not because you're bad. It's you determine that which you think you should encounter and deal with. And that's really what it's all about. And that's at the heart of every one of our divination systems. I'm looking around to see if I can find karma cards. We have so many different divination systems, but they're all based on in self-empowerment. You know, it's easy to give your power away, just like it's easy to hurt somebody, but it's a lot harder to be a really good person who's committed to growth.
And I think it's important to say that even though a lot of this stuff sounds woo-woo, the work you do, the work I do, it's all quantum physics.
Yes.
We're tapping into the field, which is real.
Yes.
So even though it's all woo-woo, if it is, and actually according to Bruce Lipton, who I adore, he says quantum physics is the most verifiable science out there.
Well, that's why I wrote Quantum Affirmations, which of course there's not one of the copies.
Okay.
All right. Well, tell them your website. Where can people find you? Get all your information, your books, your decks, your.
Well, the easiest way to get to our websites is either amyzerner.com or montefarber.com, Monte with an E.
It's the Enchanted World. It has everything we do. It has all our books and tools. You can even get free reading. You know, type in your question. The cards will come up.
And they'll come alive. It's Amy's art comes alive and talks to you and tells you the answer.
It has all my fashion. It has all my art. It has.
Yeah. So it's.
I had to get a reading from Monte.
It's either the Enchanted World or our names. Okay. That's the easiest way to do it.
And for anyone local, where's the card? If anyone local, it's not too late to get your ticket. Bay Street Theater.
May 9th.
May
9th at Bay Street, which we love Bay Street.
Yeah, at Bay Street, and it's a fundraiser for them. It's going to be fun, and Anne Marie, our wonderful director producer, is going to be there, and Patrick Cristiano is going to interview us a little bit. And then and it's from 4 to 6. Because I think.
But come early because we're taking pictures, everybody.
Yeah, we got one of those things that has our logo and Baker's logo in the back, so you can get.
Oh, that'll be fun. I'm looking.
It is. We hired a photographer and a videographer, and we're doing it right. We're having fun with it.
God, you have to.
Yeah,
it's so true. Because if you're not, why not? That's the question.
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, this was fun. I'm glad we did this.
Thanks for having us.
This was great. It was a pleasure. So much fun. Although next time, Monte, you have to do your stand-up.
I thought I was.
Well, little bits and pieces, but we need a whole act.
Anyway. I should have worn my pajamas so the nightmare would be complete. Well, that's it. That's the act.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much. This was so much fun. And go check out their stuff. It's Amy's work is incredible. Monte's insight. Yeah, if you can catch them live, I mean, that's also a blast. If you can get a reading, if you doing your Instagram lives, you're still doing those?
We'll come back to that. Monte took a break for his novel writing.
Yeah.
Well, those are fun. So, okay.
All right. Oh my God, the novel is so much fun. Thank you so much, Laura.
See you next time. Bye-bye.